one.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Bad Mary, for that too sweet introduction. Welcome to U.S. Comics Cast, episode 86. Like my man Mookie and Keith Hernandez said, 86. Strawberry. 2 topics, 60 minutes for the people. I am John Rivera, the CEO and co-founder of U.S. Comics, wishing you a happy comic book day.
And that must make me the COO of U.S. Comics. And I'm going to take out my COO card, John, and I'm throwing it on the ground. On this comic book day, I say, no, not 60 minutes, 2 topics. I say we add 30 more minutes. What do you think about that? What do you think about that?
Minutes? How the hell are we going to fill an extra 30 minutes? What are you doing?
Oh, I know what we're going to do, baby. I think we bring on a guest.
Oh, a guest.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. I mean, if we have to, we have to. There's only one person that I can think of. That's right. The man, the myth, the mustache, Leer Leary. Oh, yeah, baby, Leer. What's up, sir?
Hello, men. How's it going?
Oh, fantastic. Now look at the beard on Leer. Makes all other beards.
You know what?
This looks like a growth chart. It goes from John to me to the man himself. How are you, sir?
Showing us how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, well, you know, I've always joked that I'm the I got into show business because I'm going to be the next Gabby Hayes. Now, a lot of your viewers and listeners have no idea who Gabby Hayes was. The classic old coot that was in the wagon train. He was like, Cookie, hey, let me fix you up some coffee here, boys. And he had like 3 teeth and a big beard. And I always used to joke, I'm killing time until I'm old enough to be Gabby Hayes. Now I'm old enough. Put me in, coach.
Hell yeah. That's how you do it.
That's it. That's how. Sometimes when they say dress for the job you want, grow your facial hair for the job you want as well. It all counts. For anyone who is unaware of the magnitude of guests that we have with us right now, I implore you, just go ahead, take a moment, go over to IMDb, because it's so rare, like it never happens that we have a guest with an actual legitimate IMDb page. Folks, you know, if you're scratching your head thinking, maybe why didn't you bring Leer on sooner? Because the man is a busy man. This is the voice for anyone who's thinking, that introduction kind of rang a few bells. For all of our gamers out there, which reminds me that I do have to do our sponsors. For all of the gamers out there, if you picked up the sticks and you played a little Silent Hill, you'll recognize our guest as the voice of Corrections Officer Frank Coleridge. I mean, this is a legitimate star, ladies and gentlemen. Frankly, I'm a little worried about what compensation Lear's going to ask after this show, but we'll cross that bridge. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I mean, and again, Lear, when you agreed to join us, I couldn't be more appreciative, because you know we had the luxury, I did, of sharing the stage with Lear. The man can put on an accent. He can swing a sword. He's royalty, both literally and figuratively. All I can say is this, Charlie. It's very rare that you run into somebody for a relatively short period of time by comparison. And I mean, maybe this was even years after the fact, but the man sends you a dope comic book out of the clear blue sky. We hadn't spoken in months, and Lear just reminded me. He's like, "Well, this is why I'm a better friend than you. This comic is so awesome. I cherish it. And thank you again, Lear."
Well, let's. I don't mean to stomp on your
do it. Stomp away.
First of all, I saw that show and I was so geeked out because so many times you go to a play or you go to a musical, and I tend to do a lot of like independent research. I listen to the album. If I can read the script, so you go in more of seeing if it matches your imagination. This show, I knew nothing about, so I sit down in this awesome theater, and next thing I know, there's swashbuckling, and also I literally sat in the front row like I very unapologetically sat in the first row like this. Wow! And afterwards, I'm talking to my brother, and let's not bury the lead. This is US Comics Cast. It's a show about the world of comic books. Lear is in a comic book.
The man is a comic.
The performance you informed in Silent Hill Downpour, which for most fans, Downpour is a return to form for that franchise. They went the action route a little bit too much. They returned back with this heavy narrative that Lear plays a massive part in. You can very much unapologetically kill him at the end, which I don't appreciate. Which is why the comic book that they followed up the story with, they had a ton of flashbacks in. So the name of it was Anne's Story.
Anne's Story,
if you're interested. So it's Silent Hill Downpour, Anne's Story. The character's back in 4-color funny books. But we have a real life comic book character with us.
Hero.
I'm stoked. I'm geeked out.
Well, thank you, Boom Boom. I appreciate it.
It's sticking. Now it's official, John.
You're right. Got to change up those business cards.
Well, John referenced Deirdre, the historical piece that we're in, and that was a lot of fun. And I had always admired his beard. I just had the Sam Elliott mustache going for a while, and then plus I played King Angus, the Scottish king.
Magoof. Just not a guy you want to mess with.
But I'm sure John has told you that was lovely because we all learned how to sword fight, and our coach Christopher came in and he said, "I'm now going to ruin every pirate movie for you, every Star Wars film." What? He goes, "Yeah, it's all choreographed." So we learned our positions 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. And
it was a dance. It really was a dance, and you guys were masterful.
Yeah, you had to sit there, go 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 5. And our default position was just over our head to protect our head. So I was off on the side battling someone, and I had to turn around to the young male stud lead. And we're supposed to get into a fight, which he eventually kills me. And I turn around and I see him like,
spoiler alert.
He's like, I'm going, uh-oh. He's lost. He's in space.
Oh no.
That is the worst. Oh God. When you go up on stage holding a sword, that there must never be a worse feeling.
And plus, I really loved the sound of the metal. Clang, 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 clang. So I just leaned into him and went, 3, 3, 2, 3, 1, 3, 4. Okay. Oh, okay.
That's amazing.
I'm pretty sure that's the blood code in Mortal Kombat. You were playing with fire with that one.
Yeah,
that is ironic. Yeah, when you accidentally on stage activate the blood code, you're just asking for trouble. That sounds like a horror movie waiting to happen. So obviously. Oh, I'm sorry, Lear. I didn't mean to cut you off, my friend.
Last little bit of reminiscing, which will certainly turn off all the viewers. I was taking singing lessons, and as you well know, your brother John is an awesome singer.
Oh,
he is?
Oh, you son of a bitch! You know,
he shakes your bowels. He gets some of those notes. So I was trying out. So I was auditioning for a part, big bassy baritone, and I'm taking private lessons in this little room, I guess in Babylon or someplace out on the island. And in walks Andrew Timmons. Is that how you pronounce it?
That's amazing. Yeah.
We had a young star in the show.
Mm-hmm. He was a baby in the show. Now he's like a man.
Yeah, he was dating the instructor's daughter.
That's too funny.
Go, Bell.
I'm trying to be John Rivera in here. Leave me alone. I didn't get the part, didn't do it, but it was fun, and I learned a lot in breathing.
Yeah.
And,
even now, I mean, not to get into a different topic, but sometimes you do forget, and those are particular muscles that haven't been they've atrophied a bit with COVID going on and the kind of the world going the direction that it's gone. So, I don't have the luxury of voice performing the way you have, and the way that it's not been, or you guys have worked around it, which obviously we'd love to hear, because from what I understand, you're literally in the middle of a project right now. Yes. But for the onstage stuff, you can't use it. So even if I'm just cleaning around the house and whatnot, I'll start singing a song that I've maybe sung 100 times in recent memory, and I'm like out of breath halfway through, because things like that you absolutely do forget.
And no one ever finds that annoying. Just someone singing in the kitchen, top of their lungs. It's not like my brother's in like a dope 3 level and there's just neighbors. No, that's fine. It's just like Lear's awesome life. What project?
John reminded me that a lot of this, what we're going to probably talk about tonight, is all interrelated. Singing, voice work, acting. We'll get into that a little bit. But,
are you allowed to say what project you're working on?
Boy, it's been great weather, hasn't it?
Okay, can I start a weird rumor? It's a remaster of Downpour, starring Lear, John, and Charlie.
Yeah, okay.
Silent Hills. This one gets rid of the main character for the dopest character.
Shotgun, I'm playing in.
Do you want a few Downpour side stories?
Oh my God, yes, please.
Well, Coleridge was supposed to be a reasonably small character, and I said, I quoted Mark Twain in one of the sessions. I said, when you tell the truth, you never have to remember your stories. And the director went, "Oh my God, let's stick that in reverb," and it comes into Murphy's head.
Oh my God!
He goes, "Have you got any more?" So I said, "I'll have some tomorrow."
An actor's dream.
Yeah, I tried to write as many as I could. So I came in with 3 pages. He said, "I'll use them all." So that's probably a lot of the and stuff. So
wow,
that was a lot of fun.
Lear basically turned a pre-written video game gig into like a Christopher Guest movie. He's like, "Nah, you know what? Let's use this. Let's use that."
Yeah,
that's amazing. I'm also not the bit surprised. We got into some of the best conversations backstage, like before the show would begin or at intermissions, that, as wonderful as the show was, sometimes you're like, oh man, you gotta go out and entertain a couple of people. I'm not the least bit surprised. Lear is one of the most well-rounded, well-read, just absolute nicest guy. Funny thing is, for those who are watching the show rather than listening to it, if you're listening to it, you can picture the man immediately from the game. But when I first met him, it was just the stash. It was the stash, and it was strong. And it's funny because my immediate thought was, he make a hell of a Commissioner Gordon.
Yes!
And I wasn't the only one to think that, because just ripping through the IMDb page, you've got quite a bit of Commissioner Gordon work under your belt.
Yes, that was another blessing. These webcasts are these web series, I should say, have pockets of fans. And we were at my son's Boy Scout camp, and this troop was from Connecticut, and they went, "Oh my God!" and like the scoutmasters are going, "What'd you do to him?" And I said, "No, nothing." So I had to sign all their neckerchiefs and stuff like that and pose for pictures.
Get out of here.
Yeah. I said, "Come on, citizens, I've got a city to run here. Come on."
I love it. I love it. That's the dream. That's the only reason Charlie and I are working on a comic, is so that we can sign something at some point.
Yeah, pretty much. I've been working on it for years. I gotta say though, that Nightwing, and John, to help me out here, that's Nightwing Retribution. I always mixed it up.
Escalation.
Escalation.
And
There were 3 Nightwing fan films that came out and like blew up the internet. And that one, I remember at not New York Comic Con, but a local Long Island con popped up
at the airport.
At the
Museum of Aviation.
No, this was when Stony Brook used to do shows. I forget the name. They showed like 5 episodes in a row to a packed house. That was just amazing. Like one of the events. And I distinctly remember like sitting there and I'm like, not on purpose, but I have like my Nightwing baseball cap on. I have my Nightwing I'm like, I look like I produced this. And what's amazing about media and the last 15 years, it's been so amazing to see creators say, I want to show my competence. I want to show I can write a script. And how do I get people to watch it? And they turn to fan films and web series to get this done. So it's so competently done. But when you hear about a project like that, is that like a dream come true? You're like, whoa, I get to be one of, if you take all the web series of that nerds have done in the last 25 years, there's maybe 15 Commissioner Gordons, and you're one of them. In all the Commissioner Gordons. Is that like, do you say like, oh yeah, I want to audition for everything, but then you see it, they're like, you're gonna be Commissioner Gordon, Commissioner Gordering. What's that moment like?
It's humbling, and also this commissioner, well, he was just Lieutenant Gordon. He was defrocked because there was a new mayor in town, and I got basically pushed back out onto the street.
Politics.
Right. Yeah, I swear. But it was fun, and the people, like you say, the whole cast was so into it. The crew was into it. Had good camera people. It was just fun on rooftops late at night in New York, stuff like that. And the lighting and the smoke and all that stuff, and a trench coat and things like that.
Just describing dreams, just right and left. Yeah, sure. Played a world-renowned comic book character. No big deal. I don't want us to get too far away from the Mutual Admiration Society without. I got to make sure that I'm well prepared because.
Yeah, take that sip. Take that sip. Let's just go
ideally
for the drink.
Ideally, we would all have soundtracks to our lives, and obviously they would change here and there, but sometimes you can't just wait around. Sometimes you got to write it yourself. So let me know if I get pitchy at all, Lear, but okay. I believe that it goes something like this. Is that familiar?
Yeah, that's it. You owe me 26 cents.
It's money well spent. Ladies and gentlemen, the creator of the world-renowned P.C. Richard and Son Whistle Medley. I mean, when you're going through a resume, like there are certain things like, that's interesting. Oh, that's really cool. Wait, what? That is, you have to at least give me the nickel store version of how that happened.
Very simply, I had tried to get a job as a teacher because it was a legit job. I had played in a band for 12 years, and this seemed to be an adult thing to do.
Sure.
I couldn't get a full-time job because there was a glut of teachers. If there was an opening, one line in the New York Times would get thousands of applicants. Even the English teacher, 8th grade, Shoreham, Wading River would get buckets of resumes, PhDs, and everything. Wow. So it was tough. So I was substituting. I was filling in maternity leave. I was doing this. I was 2/5 of an English teacher at Ward Melville, but I had to coach the hockey team or do the drama club or do the student newspaper and whole duty. In fact, that's the first time I ever lost a tooth. Was on
my
whole.
God!
I played hockey my whole life, and here I am,
unscathed.
Here I am on morning of first period, and this kid comes running down, and he goes, Lear, there's a fight in the cafeteria. It's two girls, and they're beating the hell out of each other. Not paint a gender with a broad brush, but usually a fight between females, certainly in the 70s, was a lot of slapping, a lot of hair pulling,
right?
A lot of nails.
This is pre-MMA level, sure.
Well, when I got down to the cafeteria, a ring had formed of kids going, fight, fight, fight. And the two girls are in the center. And I mean, it's like Duke of Queensberry rules or whatever. Like, oh my God. So I see the gym teacher and I go, Artie, you grab the one in red. I'll grab the one in blue. Ready? On 3. 1, 2, 3. I grab the one in red. I turn around. He goes, do we go on 3 or do we go on 4? And at that point, blue girl is mid swing.
Oh my God!
Right in the face. The tooth goes. And it falls on the floor. A kid runs over, picks up the tooth, and hands it to me. I go,
oh no!
Stick it back. Now there's blood. Now everybody's crying. The two girls are crying because it's horrible. I mean, it's a horror scene. I said, I think I'm going to go to the nurse's office. So
you basically went into Silent Hill already knowing what being a bloody mess was going to be. So they say, use your life experiences. That is, I didn't see that being the connection. Holy
there is a connection to another video game, what some people have called the worst video game ever produced, Ride to Hell. It got reasonably good reviews for voice work, but it was bombed, panned in every language, every continent. And I played this boxer, and I tried to get the feeling. I've broken my nose a few times. I tried to get that feeling. So I'm in the booth with like 3 other guys, and I'm off on the side. I go, bang, bang, and the guy going, "Why are you doing that?" I said, "I want to feel the pressure on my nose. I want that sense because I have to talk." I wasn't like Sylvester Stallone kind of talking. But I was a pretty tough guy. I had to get into that voice. Like
that is too much.
I had a deviated September. Anyway, so I couldn't get a teaching job because there weren't any. And I also had a problem because in those days you graduated and you were given a provisional certificate, which meant you had 5 years to complete your master's. So that's a catch-22. How can you afford graduate school if you can't get a job?
Sure. Yeah.
So I got a full-time job in Southold High School, which is one town away from Orient Point. And why they call it Orient, it's the Far East. You can't get any further east. And I said to the superintendent, I have to take a year off and complete my master's, or else I can't. My certificate's going to expire. He goes, "Don't worry, kid. The job will be here when you get back." So I went and completed my master's, but I moonlighted at night at a recording studio. But it wasn't all music; it was a production studio, sound effects, voices, jingles, original music. And I'm thinking, this is a job from heaven. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Making a wacky voice. This guy's writing a script with a bunch of fun rhymes. It was like pre-rap, original music. And I'm going, wow, making sound effects, banging things like Foley art and things like that. I've got to try and do this. So I started a company, and it was a production company in a basement. And there were so many ad agencies on Long Island. And one guy from the ad agency said, "Listen, we're going to go pitch PC Richard. You have any ideas for a jingle? You used to be in a band. You could write a song, right?"
Wow.
So we had just gotten this new synthesizer that had an arpeggiator in it. So it was a ba 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 ba. And so we came up with a slogan: "I'd rather buy a PC, bum bum, at PC." So there was a hole, and one of the other settings on the synthesizer was a Jupiter, I think, was a whistle, and so it was like, "I'd rather buy a PC," and there was a hole, and I said, "Let's put the at PC Richard melody line right in the middle there." So, make a long story medium length, we pitched it. They flew the son up from Florida. PC Richard's son, AJ, was born in 1909. He's sitting there. He's got a cigar.
Whippersnapper.
He goes, "We haven't had dancing at one of these meetings in a long time. Let's go with it." And it was like Alexa Gente. The crowd went wild.
That is amazing.
February 1987. That was the jingle was accepted. So I would go into Gary, the grandson of PC, and say, Gary, right here, when the singers are done, you can come on and say, Sony AM/FM cassette boombox, 1995, be there. You talk good, you do it. I went, okay, I can do it. And I've done every PC Richard and Son radio commercial since 1989.
What?
Friggin' believable.
Yeah.
Family
owned and operated since 1909.
Holy cow.
I'll buy another dishwasher. Damn.
Yeah, tell them you know the Whistler.
Yeah.
I'm going to try. Watch this episode.
You'll save $1 at least.
Yeah, bring the episode with you so you can be like, hey, by the way, that is unbelievable.
Do.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, hey, this is me. No, I don't care about you. So I don't want to dominate and reminisce with the guests. So I know when I mentioned to Charlie that you'd be joining us, he went off the rails with all these ideas. So Charlie, I know we're up against it a little bit, but ask some of the things that you were wondering about, because they were, to me, I thought they were great.
My brain immediately went to one place, and that was, you have just such a diverse portfolio, but I feel like sometimes this world of acting, it is work. So I really am desperate to know what, if you had to line them all up, and this is an unfair question and I admit it, but if you, what has been thus far, what's been your favorite project?
I mean, other than this podcast, of course.
Obviously,
we need to remove ourselves
from now on.
Yeah, for fairness' sake, because otherwise it's an easy question.
Oh boy. Well, like you said, Charlie, there are different venues: stage, pure voice acting, and film, television. Wow, that is a big question. I don't know if you remember
what makes the top 5. I don't want to insult any of your other projects.
Yeah, nobody gets left out. Feel bad because we put Lear on the spot.
Any one of the top 5.
Yeah, okay. One of them is certainly B Sharp, which is a pilot for a show. It's still not dead. It's still alive. It's hanging on by its fingernails. It's similar to, I can talk about it. I did sign a NDA, but I can talk.
First lawsuit, yes.
Yeah, no, I can tell you that it's basically Cheers in terms of, what was Cheers? Cheers was a central location where characters came in. You had your set characters, but it was a bunch of middle-aged white guys for the most part.
Right.
This is a music store in New York City. So you have the staff. We got an old jazz cat. We have a Latin guitar player singer. We got
that's amazing.
Space Kate rocker. I'm an old hippie. Gee, what a stretch. We have a traditional singer, and we have a business person versus the artistic owner's son, and marketing people. And then we have guest appearances too. Richie Kanata came in.
That's nuts.
Yeah, the drummer for Justin Timberlake's drummer. And so we filmed a cameo, but Justin Timberlake is out in California. He's in a limousine, and the drummer says, I'm just going to go in here and get some sticks. So he walks in the front door.
That's too much.
Which was in Stanford. And then he's sitting there, and the one young pup on the staff makes fun of him and says, oh, what are you, Father Time? He goes, oh, you don't think I can keep time? He goes over then he walks back out to the limo. When he gets into the limo, Justin goes, how'd it go? He goes, fine, everything's fine. So it looks like he was there, but we didn't get to meet him. But,
that's
too much.
Cool.
That's in there.
You know what's funny too? Like my mind instantly goes to R.I.P. Colony. Like you walked into Colony in Midtown Manhattan, and you saw, like it was basically the musical version of the Tatooine Cantina. Like it was just one person could not be more different than the person standing like 2 feet away from them. That sounds freaking awesome. I hope that does come to fruition, because that sounds great.
I could send you some photos and some clips.
Yes, please.
And you guys can add them later, or
heck yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Another fun project was RoboCop, being the voice of RoboCop.
You're trying to kill my brother.
RoboCop 3, well, of course, was Bobby Burke from Northport. So we've been pals ever since. We just recently met up.
Adorable.
We just met up on the set of Black Klansman. He was the chief, and I was just one of the detectives.
Such a great film, too.
But the story behind that was, as we talked about these great old studios in New York, there would be maybe 5 rooms. So I was in Studio A working on a MasterCard commercial. It was an animated commercial. I was a lion, and the director.
I can see that.
Also, not a stretch.
Yeah, but the director said, "Now, Leah, I want you to roar every time you say your lines, but I don't want it to sound like Scooby Doo or Astro. You know." I'm going to say. So my lines were, "Okay, you think so." Those are my 2 lines. So I go, "Okay, you think so?" Take 48. Take 49. And I see this. Another engineer come walking into the control room, and he goes. So after we finished the session, by the way, the spot never ran. So it was a payday. It wasn't any royalties or anything. So the engineer in session A goes, "Jimmy down in Studio C wants to see you." So we go down. I go down to Studio C, and he goes, "Read the lines on the music stand." So I go, "You called for backup? Your move, creep. Hands up. Drugs are trouble." And so he put on servo sounds. "Drugs are trouble. Your move, creep." So about 2 weeks later, I get a call going, "How's it going, Roby? You got it." And I went, "Fantastic." Am I allowed to say that we recorded a PG version? Like, take off your clothes. Luckily, that never made it into the toy. That was fun.
I definitely own that toy.
Oh yeah,
it was like the creepiest thing ever, because like I definitely played with it until it was completely broken.
Yeah,
battery ran out.
Why he was a little bit late to the recording today? It's this is built-in time, playtime.
I had the Ed 209 he could fight that had like the caps, just like rotated it. It was just the best. That was the best toy series ever. Now
the best toys can actively hurt you.
You can see how one thing leads to that led to Galactus. I hunger, man who eats plants, and that led to Mattel Battle X, and so it's all interwoven. It's a very incestual.
But it's made of so much. The silliness of how important those little projects are, and by little I don't mean that in a diminishing way. I mean like these projects that for you were either a payday or something
an afternoon.
That went. That was something like that RoboCop toy. That just those sort of characters for people like me, for the youngest 35-year-old on the planet. I have
is that a lot twice? Do we have 2
who are older 35-year-olds? Because that's a thing. Those that becomes the definitive sound of RoboCop. It becomes the definitive sound of Galactus. It becomes the PC Richards jingle is something that everybody knows.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, you're like, oh, by the way, the guy who does all the PC Richards commercials is in Silent Hill Downpour. Also,
the spider web is like tangible, like all the little I went in knowing. It's like I showed up for the midterm and there was like a 3rd section to the test. I said, wow, I didn't know any of this stuff. Where the hell did this all come from? Lear, I mean, you're so accomplished. And I obviously, we do want to get into our topics. And I don't want us, Charlie, to get away from very much in a sponsor level. Without mentioning our own sponsors, I don't want to be accused of forgetting anybody. So we do obviously want to thank the fabulous musicians that brought us in, our very own and loved Bad Mary Band. You can check out Bad Mary on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram at Bad Mary Band. You can go to their website, badmary.com. Do them and yourselves a favor. Check out their Patreon, patreon.com/Bad Mary, or just go ahead and tippy type Bad Mary into any of the music streaming services of your choice. Also, if you're watching the program, you're likely watching it right here on Facebook. Our other sponsor, Facebook Gaming's own The Sarge, Sergeant Finesse. He's a gamer extraordinaire, just ripping up the war zone, running around in the world of Warcraft. He's going to be playing several other games coming up, so I'm very much looking forward to watching him. You should join me in watching him. Check him out right here on Facebook Gaming. Also, if you need a little pick-me-up, check out Sneak. Go ahead and put in SGT, a code at checkout. Help out the Sarge. He's a good friend of ours and a good friend in the program. He promotes the hell out of us on a stream, so we can only do the same. But so Charlie, we could literally sit here and talk to Lear for 90 minutes just on his resume alone. But I'm actually I'm very interested in getting his insight into our typical geeky shit that we chew each other's ears off of. So what do you have percolating in the pot this week?
I'm going to start my clock right now. And as geeked out as I was for you to join us, Lear, especially when John told me about that RoboCop toy, literally, I just need you to know, you're again, we talk about the RoboCops. There are only two RoboCops that matter, you and the one from the first couple flicks. Also, there's going to be a new RoboCop. If you listen to last week's, we talked about that briefly. But I want to stay in the world of video games, and lucky for me, I waited. I like to think I'm a good guy. I try hard to be a good guy. I don't always succeed. But this week gave me something that I desperately needed, and that was DC Fandom.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, baby. I'm not sure if either of you got a
24 hours of content.
Just delicious. And of all the announcements, as amazing or as good as some of these trailers were, two stuck out to me that I wanted. I guess I want your opinion too, John, but I really want Lear's opinion on. And that's these two video games coming out with clearly dynamic casts. You know, video games have had a tremendous evolution that you know we've all seen. We're far removed from Super Mario Brothers, and last week, this week, I guess, we got something that I personally wasn't expecting, and I was totally wrong about one of the projects coming out of the house that Superman built himself, and that was the Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, a brand new video game. Yeah, exactly. The brand new video game. But what really stuck out to me, and it was just an announcement trailer, so it's this amazing cinematic that kind of just introduces you to the world. This is an idea, and this is where we'll start as I gush about my anticipation for this project.
I gotta pay more monies. Jeez Louise.
Right on paper, this announcement happened. I'll bury the lead before kicking it to Lear. When I heard that this was going to be a video game and we weren't getting a Justice League video game, or we weren't getting a Superman video game, or we at the time weren't just getting another Batman video game, they told me a Suicide Squad video game. I happen to love the Suicide Squad. You throw a bunch of weird characters together, I'm in heaven. But then you say Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, I immediately go, what? Get the F out of here, because you don't mess with my super. So right out of the gate, the idea of the bad guys trying to kill, as I throw my headset, the bad guys trying to kill the superheroes, my initial guttural reaction was a big old fart sound effect. Lear, when you hear about these projects, and I didn't get a chance to ask you, but are video games, because you work in the industry, are they something that you keep your kind of ear to the street for? And when you hear about these projects, is a project like this something that you're like, well, that's clearly nothing I would ever want, or does your brain go like, that game could use a Commissioner Gordon, baby? When you heard about a game like this, even if it's, now's the first time, what's that initial emotion? Suicide Squad kills the Justice League? Where does your brain go?
Right to the telephone to call up Ingrid and say, find out who's doing this at EA, who's handling this, get me in there, and let me audition. And that's and as John knows, that is, you never know. Let me give you an example of Assassin's Creed, right? They did a version that was early American, right? It was. Yes. So King I got called in Washington to be a delegate from North Carolina. So I did my homework, like any good voice person would do. What were the dialects in those days in the 1700s? And I found out that there was a big movement from Scotland, Scots Irish, and some of them came from Northern Ireland, and they settled in these pockets. So I got my script, my sides beforehand, and I'm sitting there going, yeah, go outside, help your brother. And so I'm get into the different parts, like, and the director goes, no, Lear, this is North Carolina. This is the South. I go, I know. It's also 1750, 1760. Yeah, but can you do it with a drawl? I said, you mean like a Scottish accent with a drawl, like? Go outside, and I'm goes, no, none of that English crap. Give me a Southern drawl. And so it's about, you go in there with your head set, and you did all your preparation work, and you want the job, and so it's a battle. So I wound up doing, go outside, help your brother. So I didn't get it. If I probably had remained true to my Scottish inflected thing, maybe I would have gotten it. Maybe his higher ups would have said, you know what? That's the voice that would have been in North Carolina in 17. Not that Texas voice you got the guy doing there. But so that would be my first instinct is, how can I get in there? Who do I know? And it's such an incestuous business, as evidenced by MasterCard into RoboCop, into Galactus, into PC Richard voiceover. Larry Kenny, the voice of oh goodness gracious, what the heck is his cartoon? Thundercats. He was the main voice on Best Week Ever, a VH1 show.
Yes. And
he got sick, and he couldn't do it. And the director's going, what the hell am I going to do? And somebody said, get that PC Richard guy. He's a screamer. So one of the assistant editors, knew how to get a hold of me. So he calls me up, can you come in and audition for Best Week Ever? I said, sure. So I get in there, and they go, all right, read the copy on the things. I'm going, the best week ever. And he goes, well, how about this next line? It's the Sizzler. So I go, the Sizzler. And he goes, okay, thank you. And I walk out, and I get down on the street, and I'm walking to the subway, and I go, man, the guy who was running this session was like 26 years old. He had a T-shirt on, not even a T-shirt with a pocket, not even like a designer T-shirt, just a T-shirt, like a BVD or a Hanes white shirt. But before I even got into Penn Station, they said, what are you doing Thursday and Friday?
Yes!
And that led to a nice relationship. Whenever Larry wanted to take some time off, he knew he could trust, and he turned out to be a pretty supportive character too. And he recommended me for other jobs, do cereal commercials and stuff like that. So it's all this most recent one where with Triumph the Insult Comic Dog, they couldn't find a John Bolton. So this was February of this year. This year started off so great. And then somebody went, you're
having too good of a time. Let's get it down.
So they called me up, and the reason why they called me up is because they advertised for not advertised. They put out the calls and everything like that. They couldn't find a John Bolton. And somebody called this other office, Brett Goldstein's office, and Brett said, "So how are things going with you, Alexis?" He goes, "Well, fine. I just can't find a John Bolton." And Brett said, Brett's people, Justin, I think, said, "What, have you tried that Lear guy? He's got Bolton's nose and mustache, and they stick the glasses on him and gray him up." And so that led to 3 days walking around the bowels of the Capitol. I mean, we walked right into Mitch McConnell's office. I said, "What are the chances of the senator having an interview with a fake John Bolton?" And the guy behind the counter said, "Slim to none." And he's going over to the phone. "I'm done. I'm leaving right now." But once you get into the building, you can walk wherever you want. People are coming up to me saying, "Well, thank you for your service, sir." And then
it doesn't take much.
No.
That is.
But again, it's just dribs and drabs. If somebody, you just have to. My father said, if you throw enough seeds around, there's enough horse manure in this world that something will grow. So it's very true.
Has there ever been a project where they were like, "Come out, read for this," that you were like, "This project seems too dumb to possibly get paid to do"?
U.S. Comics Cast.
John, he said yes to that.
No, by the way, this way. I don't know which way my camera is going, but I love the U.S. flag logo.
Thank you.
I remember seeing that years ago. That's old. I mean, not old. It's a few years, right?
Yeah, and absolutely. It's been a work in progress at this point. Charlie, I don't know if you're catching. We have a little bit of audio thing going on.
Yeah, it's picking up someone on the back end.
Yeah. All right. But yeah, that one of the great things about the creation process is when it gets acknowledged. And I mean, especially at the very outset, we had made sure to make appearances, conventions, basically wherever we could be seen. And, I'm proud to say that it was pointed out by creators that I was a fan of. So you don't ever want to admit that certain people's opinions mean more than others, but let's be honest. I mean, it's just true. When the guy that made the created certain characters points out something you created, those days can be better. And you know what, Charlie? It's an interesting segue, if I do say so myself, because I agree with Lear that one thought often will kind of lead you into another one, and then all of a sudden you find yourself several football fields down the road that in a direction that you headed that you had no intention. A game like Suicide Squad kills the Justice League. First of all, my hackles go up like, the hell are you talking about? What Justice League? How
dare you?
You're thinking about another Justice League that I was unaware of? Yeah, exactly. Hit the bricks.
Like the freaking Avengers get a game where they look like weird rubbery versions of themselves. My Justice League Avengers is getting murdered. Not okay.
No, I'm 100% with that. However, video games video games in general, very much can be our what if comics, right?
Absolutely.
Those growing up for me, those were some of my favorite comics because they existed outside of continuity. So you didn't have to worry about being a stickler for like, no, this didn't happen and that happened and this person knows that person and she's related to this one. You could just sit down. It's almost like you had mentioned when you watch a musical, when you see an amazing musical like Deirdre, starring two of the best looking guys you've ever seen in your life.
I wasn't
and you sit down. No, I'm aware.
Who was the other guy? Lear and who?
You know what? Anyway, Lear, so like I was saying, but yeah, you get to sit down and you already like these characters in a general sense, but you can all that exposition prior you can throw away. You say, all right. So in a comic like Red Sun, Superman lands in Russia instead of in the in the fields of Kansas. You say, all right, well, now we're in for a different ride, I guess, but I love Superman, so I'm going to ride this one out. Conversely, a game like Suicide Squad versus the Justice League, I'm going to put it in those terms, it's not continuity. Obviously, it's in essence a digital what if.
Yeah.
So things like that pique my interest. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it.
One thing I think is just absolutely nuts about a project like this is I'm not an avid gamer, but I am a gamer. I enjoy that art delivery system because that's all it is. A comic book, a cartoon, a movie, a TV show, or a video game. They are the plate in which I'm served entertainment. So a story is a story is a story. Characters are characters. But the moment that this trailer started, it wasn't that it looked cool because it's a cutscene.
And it does. It does look cool.
It looks absolutely amazing. But that's not what did it for me. What did it for me was the minute I heard Harley Quinn speak, my brain immediately went, that's Tara Strong. That's the voice actress who originated the role on Batman the Animated Series. That's the voice actress who's done countless movies.
Which is her origin.
Which is
like that's her first appearance is
breakout.
Yeah, it's Batman the Animated Series was that first incarnation. So this is once again like royalty getting to slip back into the skin of a character that when they announced the Suicide Squad film and said Harley Quinn is finally going to be in it, there was huge petitions that said Tara Strong, an actress is an actress is an actress, an actor acts, be it with the tool of their voice or their voice and face or their voice, face, and body. And there was a lot of people who desperately wanted Tara Strong to play Harley Quinn. She is to a lot of people this character. And the moment I heard it, I literally went from mocking this video game that a huge team has spent millions of dollars.
The old flip flop.
I flip flopped so quickly, I got whiplash because I was like, Tara Strong's on board, and then I'm listening, and it's crazy what happens when you're the level of kind of dweeb I am, and in the COVID world, I'm searching for every ounce of happy I could find in that like lunch pail of voice actors. I'm watching the trailer for a fifth time, and I'm hearing King Shark kind of talk, and he doesn't have a lot of lines, and I'm hearing them, and
they're all good though. That's the one thing.
They all sound amazing. But
well, I mean, they're funny lines. It's good material.
The excitement about this story is obvious, but King Shark was bothering my ears, like in a good way. It was I couldn't stop thinking of this performance, and it's Samoa Joe from the WWE is playing King Shark. If you told me that the thing I always wanted was a guy who oils himself up and just breaks necks on TV for make-believe to play a fake man shark who has dubbed himself king, my head exploded. And then I immediately had to like Google, like, is he the voice in the movie? And he's not.
No.
But this is now another, the way I was saying before, you know, there are now 3 King Sharks. There's the Harley Quinn TV show. There's going to be the live action movie. And now there's this video game. Much like I was saying before about Lear getting to play Commissioner Gordon, he's now kind of done the opposite. You've embodied that character. And now like the world could one day exist where hopefully you get to provide just the voice and kind of be an any age version. But
so what I'm hearing is we start the petition, #Leer Leary Suicide Squad versus Justice League.
I am already hashtagging that.
That's a call to action, folks.
That is a call to action, but it brings me down a weird road. Do you in the voice recording landscape, is Samoa Joe going to be welcomed with open arms, or is you didn't use the word clicky? You did use the word incestuous though, which is probably worse than clicky.
Hey, keep your opinions to yourself, pal.
With voice work, is this something that you're like, a mainstream act is going to work on this project? Is it the more the merrier, or does it kind of feel like someone double dipping? Because again, for a nerd like me, I'm like the original Harley Quinn voice and a pro wrestler. Stop me. I like pre-ordered 2 copies.
No, well, I can only speak for myself, and I think I've been in a number of different types of sessions in terms of upper level actors, um, Annette Bening, that level, and then also
Wow.
A little local theater type of level. And
Z-listers like myself.
they're all good, but Charlie, I cannot I'm not blowing smoke. Once you get it, it's such a team mentality. It's like I played hockey, and when things are going, when you're a 5 or 6 cylinder engine in that regard, and things are just popping. We did 12 Angry Men once, and we were a 12 cylinder engine. It was a clock. We're it is so rewarding. So you have that mentality. When a new guy comes in, if he's an outsider, somebody like a wrestler,
Rookie.
He or she is welcomed. You're trying to make that project pop, and I've been made to feel that way, and I'm usually the outsider, the new kid in the crew. So and I'm always.
You just throw down that RoboCop toy. You're like, I'm from Gen 1, baby.
It is funny how many guys who know those toys. You got to call my roommate from college. Hello, your roommate, or I'm having the best week ever. Things like
Dude,
that.
we have to get you on Cameo. We need to make that Cameo money for best week ever voice.
Yeah, we'll do it for a promo for the.
Look, Charlie, don't set up side businesses when I'm sitting right here. Okay, I have feelings, and they're very easily hurt. Yeah,
well, let's kick to your feelings, John. When you heard King Shark, were you just like, that voice is perfect, or did you get a vibe of like, I've heard that voice, you've cheered for Samoa Joe at local wrestling shows, you heard him kill promos.
Yeah.
Now he has the capacity to bite off Batman's head. Hopefully that's how the game ends. But
my first instant reaction was, the hell are they gonna do King Shark? That's great. I mean, even doodling King Shark is tough to draw. How do you draw basically Jaws on leg, like Jaws and Arnold Schwarzenegger? Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bruce from Jaws had a love child, and now you want to put him in a frigging game. I wasn't quite sure visually what we would get, but it's the truth, and this is not blowing smoke either, Lear, sincerely. If you're looking at something, there's one instant thing. There's a reason why, going into comic books can be a tough road, because you need to do all of your selling 2D, right? That's all you have. Little witty repartee, if you can squeeze them into the bubbles, the speak bubbles. But when you hear it, now there's a whole nother level. Like it makes 2D 3D as far as I'm concerned. And Charlie, to get to your first point, when I first saw Harley, I was not really impressed. I said, that doesn't look like Harley, especially now when there are Harley Quinns that are
in every mall across America.
Well, no, I'm not even talking about conventions. I mean, that's potentially the only good thing to come out of conventions not happening, is that I don't have to look at 77 Harley Quinns in a space that fits 80. No, she was not there's now a definitive Harley Quinn. She's got this amazing animated series. Her, Margot Robbie, God love you. Margot Robbie has in essence kind of put a stranglehold on the character. And her literal first appearance was in a 2D cartoon. So it's a challenge to now flesh that out. But she has been fleshed out through voice and through her attitude. And then the second that character opened her mouth, I said, okay, yeah, that's Harley. In the same exact way that her costumes in her 2 outings that we've gotten thus far I had never seen anything like that, either in cartoon form or comic book form. But the second her mannerisms kicked in and her speech patterns kicked in, I said, "Yep, absolutely, that is indeed her." So yeah. I'm all in, but it's because of that multifaceted sale. In essence, they wanted to sell me something, and it came across in what you were hearing just as much as what you were seeing.
Well, what's funny, it had me thinking, and Lear, I wanted to ask you just really briefly, um, are you a gamer? Like, did you sit down to play Silent Hill Downpour, or are you just like, that was a job? I did my job and I bounced. Send me the comic when you make it.
I've dabbled. I've got two sons who are devout. Just everything. As a matter of fact, I had gone in and read for a snake, and I did not get that. And I always wondered about the mustache on him. I didn't do any. I didn't do any mocap for him, but I have done a mocap before. That's fun. We can talk about that. But my wife is a nut for Ratchet and Clank.
Get out of here,
Jack and Daxter. She kills it.
No
Every time I
way.
try and do it, I hand her the controller. I go, you got to get me through this swamp. You got to fly me over here. I don't know where's the blue eco, the purple eco, whatever where are those eggs? She's devout also. So I'm not as good as I'm not as involved as I should.
Well, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, and to my larger point, I had a buddy who kind of like poo-pooed on the trailer, saying like, you show me gameplay and I'll let you know if I care. But for me, the like $60 purchase price can be for the movie. Like, I've played through, I've played through games that everyone else has disliked, and probably I disliked it too. Except the story was awesome. So much so that on YouTube, it's very common now, specifically with Downpour, there's a few versions of it, of people just cut together enough of the game to make a film.
Absolutely.
And it's this like virtual film, and looking at Suicide Squad in that moment kind of instantly, regardless of what other people might want or might think, in my head, I'm just like, no, I'm in. Because worst case scenario, I'm going to get this dope.
But you know what though, and Charlie, you do speak to a larger point, because the best games they're just telling a story.
Exactly.
Like you're able to control as much as the programmers allow you to control. You can go left, you can go right, you can discover what's going on under this this spooky armoire, but vibes are not Vibe, the lame DC character.
Vibe is awesome, and I'll end you. Yuck, nothing, man.
But the vibe of a thing comes from the performances. Silent Hill is much loved. It is a creepy ass game. It's a creepy story. It's an action-packed story, granted, but it's like it's not Ratchet and Clank. That's it. And I have the feeling from the cinematic that Suicide Squad versus quote unquote the Justice League is gonna have that. It won't have the same feel, but it does have a vibe, and we got that from the cinematic. Now I do understand what he meant by your buddy, that he wanted to see gameplay.
I get it too. Yeah.
Gameplay obviously is what you spend the majority of your time, but the cinematics, the cutscenes, it's a setup.
Or even
right?
just
it's laying out the meal that you're about to gobble down. If you don't take a minute to appreciate Thanksgiving dinner before you start jamming stuff in your face, you're just not a good guest. I'm sorry.
What I was thinking of, the Deadpool video game is not a good game, but it's an awesome game because the whole time he's running his mouth. Suicide Squad is that team that you just imagine they must be recording, just so much extra incidental dialogue just to be in the background of, I don't know if you're going to switch between characters or whatever, but the idea of like Harley Quinn would never much like me, would never shut the hell up. It's just one of those situations where it's again, I don't mean to insult myself, but in that situation,
it's fine. We enjoy it.
In that situation, she's going to nervously prattle on, the way I would, or at least in my head.
This is Don Lear knows all too well. It's the other side of town, though, Lear. I apologize in advance. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could not tell by the fingers in his ear holes, Lear, he lines up on the other side of the proverbial ice. The one thing I'll tell you, Lear, obviously I'm a blue shirt fan, and you're an Icelander fan. But you know what, though? Your team is still in it. Granted, my team got the #1 overall pick, which I'll be appreciative of for the better part of a decade, but your team is still in the game. They're in the hunt for the cup, and I salute you. I'll admit, as a card-carrying blue shirt bleeder, I'm rooting for the Islanders.
Very good. That's very rare.
Based on that game against the Flyers,
wow, yeah,
like I was angry at them.
Yeah, I don't want to hex them.
Yeah,
but you brought up the downpour. We recorded that in a pitch dark studio.
That's perfect.
It really was. The director was in England on one screen. The animators were in the Czech Republic on
wow.
a panel of other screen. So we would be doing it, and they would have us redo things. And then the second day came in with the sides. Leah, can you give me 5 grunts in a row? Whoa! And he goes, brilliant. I don't think it was brilliant.
That's
I think
too much.
Rather guttural. There's no intelligence involved, and things like, you think so, and a different. No. Yes. Oh, okay. So they can cut those things in incidental spots.
That is so freaking cool.
Amazing. And you're not for anything, but you guys were ahead of the game in many ways, in the storytelling through video games for sure, but also in social distancing. You guys really you beat the group.
Silent Hill invented social distancing.
Yeah.
Right
now we
also,
know.
There have been 2 Silent Hill movies. Let's start another petition. Silent Hill Downpour the movie. Let's make that ish happen.
The time has come.
I'm ready. Put me
if
in,
not now, when?
Exactly right.
So,
John.
Yes,
we're
sir.
at that point in the show, my friend.
We are.
Where I need to hear about something you love, something you want the people to know about and maybe love too. What do you got this week?
Yeah. So I, much like I don't know, the known world, can't go out, can't do 99.7% of the things that you really want to, with everything that's going on. So I'm spending quite a bit of time in front of the old TV. And you look for shows that you can really get into. Now, personally, I appreciate the binge. I really do. Whether it's nachos or television or podcasts like US Comics Cast, I love to binge. I love it. So much so, and I realize that I'm spoiled at this point. When a show comes out that has the audacity to make me wait an entire week to get my fill, I am legitimately pissed. And HBO does it like nobody else. It's not just that they're so cruel as to make me wait week to week before I get my fill. It's that the content is so darn good. It'd be one thing if it was crapola, because then I can say, hey, you know what? No problem. I could wait. You got it. I was in a contest once. When the content is so good that I'll put it this way: the best compliment that I can give to episodic storytelling is knowing that a show's window is approximately an hour long, and you're so into the story, and you're at the edge of your seat, and you're biting your fingernails, and you're vibrating with anticipation, that you actually peel your eyes away from the screen to look at the clock to figure out how much more storytelling do I have in this sitting. Oh no, only 10 minutes left. Son of a gun. And that's what happens. It's this show that will be my unsolicited pick of the week. Lovecraft Country on HBO. It's such good storytelling. Jot it down, Lear, and all those listening at home. What's that? 3, 4 ums? We're working on it, folks. I am so into this show. Thank you. I'm so into the show. This is also a little bit of a throwback to last week's episode for anyone who didn't catch it. My topic, what we were talking about, was creators or content that you love for what they have given you, but are inherently not perfect. And some are more not perfect than others, if that's a term, which it's not. So I apologize to all my English professors. Lovecraft, the writer, who gave us Cthulhu, who gave us nightmares on pages, gave us the type of content that has gone above the name to be embedded in the zeitgeist. He's in our brain and we don't even realize it. This guy gave us that, which is amazing. That's amazing. For that reason, you have to love Lovecraft. He was just a terrible human being. And this is the type of thing that I love history. I love, I love the extras at the end of movies. I love the behind the scenes. I would desperately want to see, Oz behind the curtain. Just out of curiosity. I wasn't mad at him. Yeah, Balloon is what Balloon does. I'm very much into that. I love it. The problem is that Lovecraft is a much great thing, as much beauty as he's given us. Funny to talk about like a world eater as being beautiful, but I see that octopus face and wings. That's what I think. This is beautiful. He was a terrible person. Now, this particular show, it really does play on the two sides of that equation. Gives us a lot of Lovecraftian creatures, which I always love to see. But on the same token, speaks to the inherent racism, the hatred, the small-mindedness that was also wrapped up in the person. And when you look deeply in some of the content. So for that reason, amongst others, that's my recommendation. It's a great show. It's one of those shows that's not just surface storytelling. It gives you stuff to think about, especially in this era of Black Lives Matter. You're seeing first-person characters that you care about instantaneously dealing with some bull sugar, and you get mad. And then all of a sudden, your activism, which has been activated, alliteration, gets put aside because there's some terror dogs, in essence, running around after everybody, and secret societies, and we're only 2 weeks in, so you can binge at least 2 weeks on the recommendation, but show up every Sunday for Lovecraft Country. It is awesome.
I dig it. I can't wait to check it out. You ate up all our damn ad time, so I'll keep mine short and sweet. This week, my high recommendation for those of you on Long Island and those of you not, those of you that aren't, because he does ship. If you like any version of a toy and collectible, if you love wrestling figures like I love wrestling figures, if you like retro Ninja Turtles, if you want to get a talking RoboCop to maybe force Lear to sign for you, like my new obsession is going to be.
Here's the timeout, Charlie. On your, you can have it back. Lear, do you own a talking RoboCop?
Oh yeah, they gave me a bunch of them. There was a large one, and then there was a medium-sized one. That was the bestseller, and then there was a small one.
All
One
right,
came with it.
because there would be. I would have lost my faith in humankind if you didn't own them.
Let me just interrupt you two guys for a second, because I just really appreciated hearing about the Justice League and Lovecraft. You two guys look at these creations with such intense, intelligent eyes and minds. It just it makes everything worthwhile. I mean, even if you're sitting there and you go, "This line is so stupid," I've got to say it. You think so? And you go, "Cut." Okay, but you know it's important in the whole thing, because you've got people like you guys that are out there viewing all this stuff. And I've got some great wrestler stories, but maybe that we'll do that next time.
You will literally kill Charlie 100%.
I'm okay with it.
I'm Rick Flair.
I had a good run. I had a good run, but I will say this, very funny, and I'll make it super brief. But what's funny though is those little lines of dialogue. I can't tell you how many times I've sat around with friends or with John and just been like, "What do you think he meant by okay, let's go?"
Yeah,
I don't trust that guy. Middle levels.
I didn't like the sound of that.
Yeah, it's just like, what is the subtext to the subtext? And really, it's a director being like, "That was brilliant." And you were like, "I gurgled a little bit when I died."
So.
And I'm like, "He gurgled. That means there's oxygen in his lungs. He's alive. This game's bullshit."
Especially with games, you're always looking for a little insight. When he gurgles, that means that a monster's around the corner. So you got to listen for the. Yeah. It all matters. It all matters.
But to get back, if you at all like toys and collectibles, primarily pro wrestling figures, but trust me, he has the old dinosaur figures, Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, G.I. Joe, none other than a good friend of the show, Hastel Toys. Hastel Toys is located at 2289 New York 112 Medford, New York. You can find them at hasteltoy.com, HASTTEL toy.com. But not only this, he not only will get you a great deal on a retro toy or a new pro wrestling toy or a new Power Ranger toy or a new Ghostbuster toy.
Who wants a Power Ranger toy?
He also, how dare you? He also very much, he does signings. Check out this lineup that you will see US Comics slightly represented at, as I will be the guy throwing you a free water from 10 feet away. We got this August 30th, Psycho Sid Vicious.
Really?
Signing and pictures. $50 gets you an autograph and a photo. That's too old school for you? What about the man himself, the one-man band, Heath Slater, September 10th, $45, same combo. You want someone controversial? What about formerly known as Enzo Amore? Enzo himself, $45. And then my personal favorite, the one I'm personally most excited about, two of AEW's quickest young stars that are rising up as members of the Dark Order, Alex Reynolds and John Silver. You can get a combo from them. $45 gets you both autographs, both guys in that photo. And again, I'll throw you a free bottle of Poland Spring because I've been testing that arm. But that is our free.
I've seen him throw, folks. Better go take it by hand. Ask for a handoff.
How double dog dare you? I get a lot of extra water because some of them miss. They wind up in traffic. But with all of that said, John, 30 minutes is on the clock. What do you got?
I'm on the clock? All right. So we've covered a lot of ground, which I think is which is always a good thing, because the worst thing, and Lear, I'll give you a little insight into this world. We don't have the luxury of try that again, except for like the very beginning of this show. That didn't happen though.
Now they know.
Sorry, Charlie. I'm sorry. So. More to the point, we have the window of the conversation, and so many times we'll wrap up and I'll think, oh gosh, I didn't mention this or I didn't mention that. And I'll tell Charlie and he'll say, how the hell did you not mention it? Because you talked for like 99% of the time. So yeah, it happens. Whatever. But I am glad that we had the luxury of covering a lot of ground, especially when we have a guest like yourself who's so knowledgeable and has toes in so many of the worlds that we love. And you referenced it. We're super geeks. We're nerds. We know it. We acknowledge it, and we don't have. We're not so shy or embarrassed by any of it, because all that would do, as far as I'm concerned, is diminish our enjoyment of it. I geek, and I'm not hiding even a tiny iota of it. So what I geek out about, damn straight, Ben. Wait, who is it? Oh, it's Peter. So I thoroughly enjoy what I enjoy. I love the creators that I love. And when you have new content coming from multiple creators that I'm a fan of, how can you go wrong? I'm a huge Tolkien fan.
Yeah.
Huge fan. Obviously, I love video games. So Lord of the Rings has a new series coming out. If I'm not mistaken, Charlie, they're coming out on Amazon
Correct.
streaming. Yeah. So we have the Peter Jackson masterpieces that have been put out there, and there were wonderful, wonderful performances. Maybe none other than uber accomplished voiceover actor, motion caption performer, and also your typical traditional actor, Andy Serkis. So to see that his character is going to get a standalone video game, for me, it literally activates me on across the board. They're like, "Oh, you like this? What about this? How about a little some of this?" I'm like, "Oh, I love all of that." It's really an overload.
Throwing your debit card at guy A,
exactly. I'm writing
credit
checks.
card at guy B.
I don't even have a check in my hand. I'm just signing my name. I write on my hand. I'm like, take it. They'll cash it. So literally, the only negative that I have to say about this upcoming game, Lord of the Rings Gollum, is that the news dropped somewhat stealthily. And I understand timing is everything.
Well, he was wearing that ring.
See? Right away. You gotta ruin it, man.
Invisible, baby.
You gotta ruin it. So yes, indeed. I'm sure Precious will make an appearance here or there. But with all the news that has been going on, particularly on the DC front,
Fandom stole all these.
First, they were like, "Oh, we're firing half of everybody," and then they said, "Oh no, but here's something free." And we just all shut up about it.
I didn't even a little bit consider covering that. I'm like, they ruined so many people's lives, but you know, Batman's
basically
back.
Not to get into it as a topic, but basically DC did an in-house Thanos finger snap. They're like, half of you are gone. Holy cow. And I'm pretty sure I just made up that analogy, but if I stole it from anybody, I apologize. In any case...
I don't. I take that apology back.
In any case, we are getting, as most people don't know, a Gollum video game. So I'm going to throw it to Leer first, because Leer, as you mentioned, not just an accomplished voice actor, but you've done mocap work. You've done traditional acting on stage and film. How cool is that to you? As somebody who can have potentially a performance translate in this way, in a way that maybe, I don't know, maybe he never saw coming. Certainly Tolkien didn't. I mean, what does that trigger in your mind?
Well, you mentioned Serkis, and he is a classic example of a character, getting into the character, coming up with a voice for the character, coming up with motions for the character. So he's operating on a number of levels. A voice actor doesn't always have to appear like the blonde bombshell or the studly man, as long as his voice sounds like he's a studly man. And then where do you take that? Do you take it into Scottish or do you take it into Southern? And I'm sure he was playing that character's. He got that character inside of his body, and that started to control his movement, and that started to control the way he moved his face. And if you notice in a lot of the scenes in all of the movies, there's a lot of close-up work, and I know a lot of it is computer enhanced, but a lot of it is Mr. Serkis's tendons and eyeballs,
yes,
and motion, and that. So he made that character work so well that it's taken on a whole nother life. It would be fascinating if Tolkien could come back to life and hear and see the character and go,
yes,
that's it. Or if you could say, no, he's supposed to be tall. And
what happened to his Scottish accent?
So, but I admire him, that actor, so much, just because he's taken. You have Strasberg, you have Meisner, and whatever works for you. Are you going on emotion? Are you going on the inside? And he seemed to have taken all of those things. And then once he settled on that tone of voice, then that, I think, be interesting to ask him, did his motions come from the voice, or did his voice affect his motions? And how does he feel that he was able to go to that next dimension? Somebody like C-3PO didn't have much of a range. I mean, this is cute and everything in the British formality, and the butler, the Batman. Yes, he's kind of like an Alfred, and R2D2. But here was a character that was able to come alive, and he really made it come alive.
He absolutely did. And I'm sorry if you have, I don't care how good CGI is, or whatever crutches are at their disposal, that voice acting, the body movement, that made the character. Matter of fact, you almost don't need the dialogue at that point. You could just have heard the tone and the body motion, and you're getting across the board who this character is. I get it. All right, I get it. He's way into this, and it's interesting too, because obviously he has an amazing resume. But so even just with the CGI work, when I'm watching something like Planet of the Apes, the most recent, I can almost see a little bit of Gollum in Caesar.
Yeah.
There are those, there are those actors, and I've always felt the worst insult that you can throw an actor in any capacity is, I saw the actor, right? I only saw this person, and I think, not to get a separate topic, but I think that comes from more so celebrity than particular ability, performance wise. But again, I still think it's an insult. Look, they're telling you a story, Dum Dum. They're not playing themselves.
Yeah,
they're playing whomever. They're playing Henry VIII, or they're playing a monster in the middle of the mountains. So, as a fan, he made the character to the point where there's a video game coming out, and it's exclusively, this is the John Rivera patented reroute. So the video game does take place
in episode 83.
The video game takes place between the action of The Hobbit and then the Lord of the Rings saga, which is just awesome. It's a gap filler, especially a lot of storytellers are doing that now. They're looking for the empty pockets to fill the story room that wasn't filled up with something else, and saying, hey, you know what, I'm a fan, this is what I got. I think it's awesome.
It's the Star Wars method. It's what Rogue One did. And what's amazing about Planet of the Apes or Lord of the Rings or I always mess this up, but what was it?
We're used to it, don't worry.
Mogwai, who the Jungle Book that's not owned by Disney.
Mogwai?
Mogwai, isn't that
Mowgli?
the little thing from not from Critters, from
you don't. He's in the Jungle Book. You don't ever want to get him wet. You don't want to feed him after midnight.
But he's in that his list of performances is incredible because he's one of those actors that almost like doesn't get lost in the CG. The way that some actors would get like lost in makeup or
sure.
You see some performances and it will serve a purpose. Just because I've mentioned it for the last 9 weeks, this Friday, if you're watching this Friday, Bill and Ted 3 come out.
Unbelievable.
But in Bill and Ted 2,
Lear, I am convinced Charlie has points in this movie.
I do. I produced
He mentions it every show.
But what was amazing was there was the set of makeup where the actor who played Bill also played like his own hell version of his grandmother. Right. And for years, like no one realized it because it's like such a scary, heavily make-upped character. You kind of lost it until someone was like, look at his eyes, stupid. It's clearly the same actor. Like they're doing very bad green screen to put them in the same shot. But what's really cool about when a character is lost in a performance, what's funny is you said like in Caesar, in Planet of the Apes, you see Gollum, but really it's like you're seeing Sudeikis. You're seeing him embody in his way.
Jason Sudeikis is a comedic character. Well, Andy Serkis.
You talked for 40. You talked for 45 minutes. I got all confused.
You had all that time to jot down pronunciation.
I hate your face. Don't embarrass me in front of fucking RoboCop.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, citizen.
But sorry. But what's crazy is about that I always wondered what that buildup is. I know Lear, you said you would love to ask him. I've watched so many behind the scenes DVDs where like you see him on set that I like watch this guy really do like the stage production of Lord of the Rings. Like he has dots instead of, I guess it would be like pale makeup, but it's like you see the performance.
Yeah.
Being on the inside when doing voice work or when you did motion capture. How do you find it? Is there a common way that people approach those sort of performances where it's like, well, first you go into the audition and you have an idea. Like you said, you did research for Assassin's Creed, a little more research than the director may have done. No offense. I love those games. But you find the character and then you build based on that, the voice. And then I always wonder how like people wind up with like a lead and be like, my shoulder don't work because in Nam I got shrapnel in my butt. How do you piece together a character?
Fried green tomatoes. What are you talking about?
Wow. I want to know how Lear pieces together a vocal performance. And
no, I'm talking about the actor with the bump shoulder and shrapnel.
I thought that was pretty eloquent for me.
I just wanted to, before we leave Gollum in the cave there, I just wanted to say I enjoy, and also piggybacking on what John said about looking over at the clock when you're like when I watch Homeland, I would get so involved with that, and I would say, This is entertainment. I'm so
You're killing me.
And how are they going to resolve this? And I look over and like 7 minutes left. I'm going, oh my god!
Yeah. Yes.
But along those lines, I remember watching Gollum, and 1 minute I'm feeling very sorry for him. He's very embraceable and lovable, and then he's also very evil.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's almost like a turn around a corner. Like what's going to come around next? But to get to your point, Charlie, it all depends on also the mood on the set. Sometimes it's very, very method. The minute you get into the makeup chair, you start to get into that character, and you don't leave it. You even eat with that to the extreme that supposedly Charles Lawton walked around with a cinder block around his neck. Around the house with Elsa Lanchester to also get into the mood for Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Wow.
I mean, that's taking method really far.
Really, yeah.
Then conversely, it could be, oh, did you hear the one? Two Irishmen walking in. All right, ready, scene one, take one.
All right.
And you're in a character. some people, Pacino is like, no rehearsal. Come on, let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's just do it. And then the other people are just, let's just work this out, days and days. So there's no set answer. But since I am a graduate of Jeffrey Zeiner Acting Studio, he taught us to build the backstory, build the front story, build the side stories, so that when you show up on set, if the director says, we're doing page 28 today, we're doing page 1 on Friday, we're doing the ending tomorrow, so that you can walk into that scene knowing full well, okay, this is before I had my tooth knocked out by the young girl in the cafeteria, or this is when I thought I was a great hockey player. Whatever backstory you gave to the character, you can fit in that, and you feel that. Now there are other people who will take that inner and then put emotion on that. It's layers, and then that will also affect your face. And props will help you. But the main thing is, and I had so much fun listening to the two of you, and the key verb there is listening, obviously. Everybody knows that is, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. You should listen twice as much as you speak. So, and that's the key to improv too. One quick character, a CGI story is when we were doing Black Klansman, Adam Driver had just finished Star Wars. And there's one scene where Stallworth, Washington comes in, and Spike had a speaker underneath one of the desks in the patrol room of the detectives. And he goes, John, where's your briefcase? Where's your briefcase? And then Adam Driver goes, if this was Star Wars, we would just see G's briefcase. If he was Shut up, Driver. Shut up. he was kidding. But that's awesome. That's the mood. It's fun. It's a fun business. And of course it's a very wacky business. It's up and down. It's filet mignon, and then sometimes it's peanut butter and pasta. Sure. So I have a very understandable family and a very supportive family who enjoys the great times and never complains during the lean times. So you awesome. Say some people say to me, "Oh, you do voiceovers? I speak English. My Aunt Cammy thinks I'm really funny. I can do. I played a tree in Guys and Dolls in high school. I can do this." And I say, "Okay, how do you feel about not having a paycheck next week?" No problem. I got some money sucked away. How do you feel about having no paychecks for maybe 3 weeks? What are you, crazy?
Yeah, it's a different conversation. And you know what, Lee, you bring up a really good point, and I'm not sure if this was the intention, but voiceover work now, and we joke about, like, right now we're remote, we're in different states, but voiceover work can be very intimate. So now it's something that's very different. Obviously you're not going into the sea. You're not going to, you're not going to a big recording studio. And I've done a little bit of voice work, amateurish, and I was shocked by the proximity that these studios, and they say studio in the capacity that I was in very generously. It was more like a broom closet that didn't have the broom. I wasn't sure if I would fit in together with the mic and the spit guard. So now I can only imagine that you're doing everything, like you're doing 100% remotely, correct?
Yes, and there's a new service out there. There was a service years ago, ISDN line, which enabled you to tap into some very, very fast Ethernet internet connections. But now it's come down to, you still have to be hardwired, and you do need a very fast modem and all that good stuff. But it is remarkable. It is crystal clear. I will be speaking and being recorded in California in that guy's computer on his Pro Tools So he runs the whole session, and I just have to sit there.
So it's as if you were standing in front of the mic and he was behind glass.
There's not, right now we've got pretty good connection. There's no real latency like we hear on some of the newscasts where it's troublesome and awkward. It's crystal clear and it's instantaneous. And it's great when you don't have to turn on the camera because you can just be in your underwear. You don't even have to shave.
Sure. You guys can see my underwear right now?
I'm only wearing a t-shirt. I'm straight Winnie the Poohing it.
But I'm worried. There was you used to have to, you'd get a call saying they need a middle-aged man. I got a call. They need the voice of God. So I said, "Oh, okay. I know some guys
that can handle that."
Yeah, like your voice, John. When they speak, there's some actors that like Orson Welles. So they said, no, they're not looking for Morgan Freeman or Orson Welles. They want somebody who's fatherly and believable. I said, all right, I'll give it a try. So I had to get on the train, go into New York. I read one line. "This is my beloved son, in whom I'm well pleased." Thank you. So I wrote out. 2 weeks later, "You're going to Utah." I got picked as the voice of God for
nice.
Church of Latter-day Saints. Filmed the King James Bible from top to tail. No dogma or anything, just word for word. They filmed in the River Jordan and everything. All of a sudden, Jesus is dipped in the water, and John the Baptist brings him up, and all of a sudden you hear, "This is my beloved son." So I'm like, whoa,
that is too much.
So I get to put that on my resume, voice of God.
Absolutely. Also, I would imagine that it's an instant argument ender. Like, did we park over here? You're talking to the voice of God. All right, we'll park over here. Fine.
I said to the guys, I said, "When are you going to film the Old Testament? Because God has a few more lines."
See that?
Small people. But
back to Zach, Charlie.
If you ever need an understudy, Lear, my brother is great at going no. So again, just a onesie twosie.
Only when it's deserved. Okay.
Right.
Hey John, how do you like this T-shirt design? No.
But just to follow up on that, that whole rush into the city audition thing kind of went by the wayside with the whole studio creation, and all of a sudden, guys are now. It's not as bad. People still audition with a phone, even though it's horrible. But for audition purposes, fine. Now I see it, especially during the COVID, seeing self-taping picking up.
Yeah.
So as much as the self-recording voice killed a lot of the studios in New York, audio studios, I'm afraid that this self-taping thing is going to kill. There used to be major complexes. You'd go in, similar to what I was talking about, the MasterCard commercial in RoboCop. There are people trying out, over here is a Farsiga commercial, over here is Allstate, over here is Viagra.
Right.
And there was a bunch of us old guys sitting on a bench, and across the room was a Viagra. And there were these 40-year-old women who were just gorgeous, appealingly gorgeous. So we're all just sitting there, and they're not calling us into the room. We're just watching this thing, and we're watching these gorgeous humans walking in and out.
The parade.
So I said to the one guy sitting next to me, I said, we're not here really auditioning for a spot. They're watching us, and they're whoever we watch, they're going to pick. So we eventually called in for do pick something, I think it was. But I walked over to the one woman and I said, "You got this. You got every old guy on the bench over here just dying." I mean, we were like, you could hear vertebrae snapping whenever she was. I'm not trying to be sexist or abusive or anything like that. Turns out I see the ad like 6 months later, and it was her. And
it was her?
Yeah.
Got a good eye.
She was just, she was just perfect. She was just a perfect human being.
I think we need to add to the resume, good eye, after like entry 89. Holy goodness.
As it's, I hope everybody makes it out the other end of this whole crazy thing. And
I think that's the one thing, and Charlie and I we will talk about this often, especially now when we're really trying to do something new, but it's framed in traditional rules. So when we came up with US Comics, and this goes back a few years ago now at this point, we knew the framework that we had to operate within, but we also knew that within that space, we started really with what we didn't want to do. That's the truth of it. Like, this is my morning show with Strahan interview ready to go. We started with what we didn't want to do. And when we took that off the table, we saw everything that was left, and it glowed. It was all good stuff. So for us, that helps. The thing about everything that we're going through right now collectively is that there are some things that are not going to revert. There are certain things that have been changed that are changed forever. Now, you've told us several stories which worked out wonderful results for you personally, but and as well, as much as they were well deserved and well earned, were kind of luck of the draw. So it was right place, right time, right guy. So I do worry that to some degree, some of that has gone by the wayside. You know.
Mm. Wow. Yes.
not to put
I'm saying,
not to
John,
paint
there's
it
like
dark.
a minute left. Gosh.
But no, it's actually in listening. Charlie, you can clear this up in post, right? No,
I don't think I
mean
can.
that
I'll be crying.
it's going to be different. I do wonder though. That's important to both sides of the equation, though. So I do wonder how the producers of content, how they're going to compensate for that. You know, maybe it'll become easier. I really don't know. Technology obviously helps, and databases exist. I just really wonder. I do wonder what it's going to look like on the other side.
Yeah, it's the $1 million
Nice
question.
Yeah, I mean,
You know what's funny though, at least from my point of view, this show, as it's grown, the video version of this show has grown to a point, and if it wasn't for COVID, I don't know if streamlining this process to get it to where it's at. I don't mean to take a compliment from Lear and really run to the moon with it, but if you watch the nightly news, sometimes these remotes are pretty bad.
That's true.
One thing my brother here as COO kind of gave me some flack for was a lot of times we would have technical issues with some of these episodes. And I'd say but ESPN had this issue this morning. And the reaction would be like, that's ESPN's problem. You're in charge of USC's problems. And it is, to a certain extent, iron sharpens iron. And like you said, a lot of people might want to do voice work, but maybe don't want to put in that work and maybe don't want to struggle to find their path. But again, going back to my topic from before, Samoa Joe has loved video games his whole life. It took being a world famous pro wrestler to get his shot to do a voiceover.
Just to clarify my point, I don't think that whatever version that we end up with after the fact, I don't think whatever the changes, it's never going to affect a performer like Lear, who has this body of work that already speaks for itself. If Lear was little Lear, just getting started in that capacity, those stories would not have played out that way. That's what I mean. So it's for the... Somebody bailed me out. Thank you. See, the Rangers might be out of the playoffs, but they know how to. When there's a guy digging for the puck in the corner, they know how to bail him out. Again, I don't want to. I'm not going to beat up the point, but yeah, it's those performers that'll look at a story like Lear's and think that can happen for me. They really do, I think, need to think outside the box, because they're not going to walk into a building, at least not in the near future. Maybe it will revert It'll do a complete turnaround and things will be back, and those type of stories will happen. But right now, if you're auditioning for something from your office, from your home office, you better knock it out of the box. That's all I'm saying. Otherwise, Lear's gonna get that gig. That's how it works.
Right. I can play young female.
Hell yeah,
ethnic.
We're not putting you in a box.
The beauty of the self-tape on camera auditions is how many times have you walked out of an audition and gone, the old-fashioned audition, and gone, oh, why didn't I say in July instead of saying July? If I had emphasized in, that would have been perfect.
Myself personally, never. I hit home runs exclusively. Charlie, though.
Yeah, woo! I always put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
But now with the self-taping, you can go, you know what?
Yes.
If I said in July instead of in July.
That's right.
And
what a mind job that could be also, because sometimes it is better. I'll speak for myself. I can literally drive myself insane and anxiety ridden and ruin my week by overthinking certain things when you have the opportunity to, no, I don't like that, and do it over and do it over and do it over, to the point where almost like social media, people are looking at a person's highlight reel. They're looking at the best version of their personal story that they can tell. So I would think somebody getting a submission, a person had the opportunity to re-record and try it again until they thought this is the best I could possibly do it. Now that's what you're being judged on, as opposed to you walk in the room, you have a 5 minutes in front of whomever, the people behind the table, and sometimes it's freeing to say that's what they got. Let's see what happens.
Chance for your best 5 minutes. But talking about best, this has been one of the best episodes, I'll say it, I've ever had.
Boy.
Lear, I can't tell you how absolutely geeked out, and frankly, you can ask John right before we started. Kind of nervous. It's weird meeting one of your favorite action figures.
He's like a little, it's like he's going on a date, Lear. I don't want to, make it uncomfortable now in the final hour.
I took out a brand new version of a shirt I've worn on the show before. I was like, I need a crisp collar from Mr. Leary. But an absolute pleasure. I hope that you'll join us again. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm gonna.
You're a wonderful guest. I mean, and truly an encyclopedia level of knowledge for us and the listeners. Thank you so much for joining us. Please come back.
Oh, anytime, you guys. I feed off of your enthusiasm and also your intelligent love of everything. So
that's good, because I have like 30 more love-filled questions than I have like 40 just like-filled questions.
Darn straight.
The one and only Leer Leary, the man, the myth, the mustache, as my brother put it.
Darn straight.
The CEO of U.S. Comics, John Rivera. I am the COO of U.S. Comics. Please follow us on all of our social media. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on the Twitter machine. We're on YouTube. All of us at U.S. Comics HQ. Come say hello. Come spread the joy. If you have a place you can listen to podcasts, you can hear the audio version of this show every Wednesday morning. It debuts U.S. Comics Cast. So that's U.S. Comics Cast for the audio. If you want to see our beautiful faces, 8 o'clock this and every Wednesday on Comic Book Day, you see these punums. And sometimes we have people as glorious and as damn debonair as Leer Leary himself. But there is only one way that we end U.S. Comics Cast, and I think the CEO should tell us how.
All I know is if they were here, they would tell you the same. Be a hero. Wear a mask. Bad Mary, take us out.
Wait a second. There's something amiss. There's something you warned me about, John. And you said that the people have made a request. And they want to know what's going on next Wednesday here on Facebook.com/US Comics HQ. Now, I got a problem, though, because you didn't hit me to what's going on. So who do we got? What's going on? Just another fun-filled episode for 87?
I don't really know if, no offense, Lear, if either of you guys have the security clearance, but I have it on very good authority that tomorrow, on this very program, we are going to have a living, breathing cast member of American Gods. So, if I were you, I certainly wouldn't miss it.
Wait, you're telling me